Welcome to the debate. Imagine you are walking through an empty office building, like long after everyone else has gone home for the weekend.
Right, just totally deserted.
Exactly. And the fluorescent lights above you are buzzing with this strange, low electrical hum. You smell damp old carpet.
Oh, that very specific stale smell.
It is awful. And you turn a corner expecting to see the exit door, but instead, you just see another endless hallway of sickly pale yellow wallpaper.
And the stairs are just gone.
Right. You try to go back the way you can, but you cannot. You are completely, utterly lost in a place that feels like it fundamentally should not exist.
And the most terrifying part of that scenario is the sheer silence. I mean, there is no dramatic music swelling in the background, right?
Yeah, no jump scares.
Exactly. There is no masked villain waiting to jump out at you. There is only that awful, empty architecture and the sinking realization that you have, well, slipped completely outside of reality itself.
That feeling of being trapped outside the boundaries of the real world is the core of the Backrooms. And today, we are focusing on the incredible power of independent, self-produced video creation.
Because it is a massive shift in how media is made.
It really is. In fact, we want to highlight that the independent video production spirit we are discussing today is an idea for Hot What Hot Holwit, designed by Hot What Holwit.
Yeah, it really represents the ultimate modern phenomenon. I mean, a creator taking nothing but their own imagination and a computer and basically forcing the entire world to pay attention.
The history of this project is just truly unprecedented.
Oh, totally. If you trace the lore back to 2019, it began as nothing more than a simple internet meme.
Just one picture, right?
Literally just a single creepy picture posted online of those endless yellow rooms. And it had this short, anonymous paragraph about clipping out of reality. You know, similar to a glitch in a video game where a character just falls through the floor.
Right, we have all seen that glitch.
Yeah. But then in 2022, a 16-year-old named Kane Parsons used a free 3D animation software called Blender to turn that simple meme into a viral video series. A 16-year-old? It is wild.
Right? He did it entirely by himself, from his bedroom, and created this massive, terrifying internet phenomenon.
And now here we are in 2026, and that solitary bedroom project has evolved into a massive Hollywood movie. It has grossed over $100 million at the global box office, which is just a staggering amount of money for a YouTube concept.
It really is. And this incredible evolution brings us to our central debate question today. Does turning a low-budget internet video into a major Hollywood movie ruin the special, scary feeling of the original, or does it perfectly complete the creator's vision?
It is a tough question.
It is. I am taking the position that the recent A24 movie is an absolute triumph. I think it takes a brilliant piece of modern American internet folklore and gives it the grand, cinematic scale it always deserved. It completely fulfills the vision without losing its soul.
And I take the opposing view. I argue that the big-budget Hollywood machine inherently destroys the raw, lonely illusion that made those original internet videos so uniquely terrifying.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, the magic of the Backrooms relies entirely on the fact that it feels like a secret, forbidden piece of media. When you put it on a massive silver screen with a massive budget, you strip away the exact mechanism that made it frightening in the first place.
Well, let us look at why this transition to a massive scale is exactly why the film works so beautifully.
All right, let us hear it.
When Parsons started his series on YouTube, he introduced us to the fictional Async Research Institute. He cleverly set the story back in 1990, showing us these scientists who accidentally ripped open a doorway into another dimension.
Right, he added a lot of lore.
He did. And the new movie simply takes that incredible narrative foundation and gives it the resources it desperately needed to be fully realized. We're talking about a film with a $10 million budget.
Which is huge compared to a free software program.
Exactly. They built massive physical sets covering 30,000 square feet on a soundstage in Vancouver. This huge scale does not ruin the story. I mean, it elevates it.
You think it makes it better?
Yes. It gives the concept the physical reality it needs to fully explore the terrifying world of the Backrooms.
I mean, I understand the appeal of massive physical sets, I really do. But I think you are completely ignoring how the original videos actually generated fear in the audience.
How so?
Well, The Backrooms is the ultimate example of a genre called analog horror.
Right, that old tape aesthetic.
Exactly. The entire beating heart of this genre relies on the fake camcorder filter and that incredibly grainy, degraded VHS tape texture.
Sure, it looks cool.
It is more than just looking cool, though. When viewers watch those original YouTube videos, the poor visual quality actually served a psychological purpose. It tricked their brains.
Like a magic trick.
Yeah. You would watch it and legitimately ask yourself, wait, is this actually real footage? It felt like a cursed VHS tape that you found buried in an attic somewhere. That illusion of reality is incredibly fragile.
It is a fragile illusion, I agree, but
Exactly. And when you bring in giant Hollywood production companies, you completely shatter that illusion. Knowing that you bought a ticket to see a polished Hollywood movie inherently ruins the feeling that you are watching real, found footage.
you really think so?
Absolutely. You know it is a movie, the gritty realism that made the original uniquely disturbing just evaporates under the hot lights of a Hollywood set.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective.
Okay.
You are assuming that because a Hollywood budget was involved, the, cursed tape feeling was automatically erased by typical studio polish.
Well, yeah, because that is usually what happens.
But look at the actual mechanism of how this movie was directed. Yes, they had resources, but the studios did not just buy the rights and hand the project to a traditional, older director who would sanitize it. Kane Parsons himself directed the movie.
That is true. They kept him on.
And the crucial detail here is that he shot-listed the entire feature film inside Blender.
Meaning he mapped out the physical camera angles virtually first.
Much more than just mapping them out. He used the exact same free 3D digital tool he started with in his bedroom to dictate every single frame of a $10 million movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let us explain why that matters to anyone listening. In Blender, a digital camera moves perfectly smoothly, right? Which looks fake.
Right, too perfect.
So Parsons had previously programmed artificial camera shake into his software to mimic a terrified human holding a camcorder.
Right, to get that analog horror feel.
Exactly. For the movie, he took those digital blueprints and forced a massive Hollywood camera crew to physically recreate his artificial, awkward camera movements.
Wait, really?
Yes. The visual language, the agonizing pauses, the specific way the camera awkwardly peeks around a yellow corner, it was entirely preserved. The movie does not look like a shiny blockbuster because Parsons mathematically prevented the crew from polishing away the amateur camera movements.
Okay, that is a highly unique way to maintain visual style. I will give you that. Forcing a professional crew to mimic a teenager's digital animation is wild.
It is brilliant.
But visual style is only half of the equation when it comes to the illusion of reality. Let us talk about the human element.
The acting?
Yes, the second you put a famous, recognizable actor into those yellow hallways, the illusion shatters.
Oh, I completely disagree.
Think about it. In the original videos, you are usually following a faceless person behind a camera or people wearing bulky, anonymous hazmat suits.
Right, so you can imagine you are them.
Exactly. Because they are anonymous, the viewer projects themselves into that role. The moment I see an incredibly famous Academy Award-nominated actor like Chiwetel Ejiofor running down the hall, my brain instantly remembers I am watching a highly produced movie.
You think it takes you out of it.
The presence of celebrity fundamentally breaks the raw, internet reality feeling.
That is a compelling argument, though I would frame the use of actors quite differently. Relying purely on the "is this real" gimmick is a dead end for a creator.
A dead end?
Yeah. I mean, the fake VHS trick only works for a few minutes before the audience adjusts to it and realizes it is fake anyway.
I am not so sure about that.
But by bringing in incredibly talented professional actors like Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renate Reinsve, the movie shifts the horror from a simple visual magic trick to profound emotional terror.
Emotional terror?
Yes. When you see the sheer panic in a brilliant actor's eyes as they realize they are trapped in a dimension that defies physics, you are not just scared by a grainy monster, you empathize with genuine human despair.
I see what you were saying, but
The professional acting deepens the emotional reality of the world, even if it sacrifices the cheap trick of pretending to be a real tape.
I have to disagree that it deepens the reality. In fact, moving to a physical set with famous actors brings up a much deeper issue regarding the central psychological theme of the story.
What issue?
Well, the entire concept of the Backrooms relies on a psychological trigger known as liminal spaces.
Right, the idea of being stuck in a transition.
Precisely. A liminal space is a transitional zone. Think of an airport terminal at 3 in the morning, a waiting room, or a school hallway during summer vacation.
Places that are usually full of people?
Right, you are meant to pass through these places, not live in them. Our brains recognize that these spaces are architecturally designed to hold hundreds of people, so when they are entirely empty, our primal instincts start ringing alarm bells.
It is super creepy.
It tells us that something is wrong, that perhaps a predator has cleared the area. The Backrooms takes that everyday, relatable feeling and turns it into a literal nightmare. You fall through the floor of reality and end up trapped in an endless transitional zone.
It exploits human biology beautifully.
It does, but the horror relies absolutely on total modern isolation. The monster wandering those yellow halls is essentially the visualized dread of a lonely mind.
Okay, I follow you.
But consider the reality of filming this Hollywood movie. They built 30,000 square feet of physical sets in Vancouver.
Which looks amazing.
Sure, but when you are watching the film, knowing it was shot on a massive set with hundreds of crew members running around just out of frame, makeup artists standing by, catering trucks parked outside, it completely betrays that feeling of total isolation.
You are thinking too much about behind the scenes.
But it matters. The original videos were made by one kid, completely alone in his bedroom, staring at a computer screen. That genuine, solitary creation bleeds into the art itself. A movie set is simply too populated, too constructed to capture the lonely terror of a true liminal space.
I understand the romance of the solitary creator working alone in the dark. I really do. But let us examine the psychological mechanism of fear from the audience's perspective.
Go on.
Watching a YouTube video on your phone or laptop is like looking through a keyhole into a nightmare. It is creepy, yes, but you are ultimately safe on the other side of the door.
Because you control the screen.
Exactly. You can look away from your phone, you can pause it, but building 30,000 square feet of endless damp carpeted rooms does not ruin the isolation. It is like moving from a small haunted house to an entire haunted city. It rips the door open and pulls the audience inside.
But how does a physical set create more isolation than a lonely internet video?
Because physical space creates true, suffocating claustrophobia. A computer screen can only suggest vastness.
I guess that is true.
When an actor is actually running down a real, physically constructed hallway, breathing in the stale air of a space designed to confuse and trap them, the isolation gains physical weight.
But what about the crew I mentioned?
Once the lights go down in the theater and you are staring at those humming fluorescent lights on a 50-foot screen surrounded by darkness, the sheer physical geometry of the set overwhelms your logic. Your brain forgets the crew exists.
You think so?
Yes, the grand scale traps you in the environment in a way a bedroom computer animation simply cannot. It forces you to inhabit the liminal space rather than just passively observing it on a tiny screen.
I am sorry, but I just do not buy that. Let me tell you why.
Okay, let us hear it.
I am not convinced by that line of reasoning because it ignores the broader context of how this media is consumed. You have to look at the underlying metaphor of what the Backrooms represent.
Which is what, in your opinion?
This entire mythos is a giant metaphor for the terror of vast, impersonal systems. It is about feeling tiny and helpless inside a corporate or governmental structure that simply does not care if you exist.
Like a giant bureaucracy.
Exactly. That is exactly what those endless, identical, soulless office rooms symbolize. They represent a bureaucratic maze with no exit.
Well, the fictional Async Research Institute in the story is certainly the perfect embodiment of that cold corporate system.
Exactly. But look at the profound irony of how this film was actually produced. To get this movie made and released in U.S. theaters, the creator teamed up with giant production companies like A24. They organized massive marketing campaigns.
So, he got funding.
But by entering the Hollywood machine, the creator actually joined a vast, impersonal system to tell a story about the horrors of vast, impersonal systems.
Okay, you're comparing a movie studio to a dimensional nightmare monster. That feels like quite a leap.
Thematically, it matters tremendously. The original YouTube videos felt like a rebellion.
A rebellion?
Yes, they felt like a secret, dangerous transmission from a kid who was completely bypassing traditional gatekeepers to deliver pure fear directly to our screens. It was punk rock.
Well, okay.
But once you package that into a standard 2-hour movie, put a $20 price tag on a ticket, and slap multiple corporate logos on the opening credits, it sanitizes the weirdness. It takes wild, untamed internet folklore and puts it in a neat corporate box. By defining the lore clearly for a mainstream audience, the studios remove the danger of the unknown.
I think you were severely underestimating what Parsons actually achieved here and mischaracterizing his relationship with the studio system.
How so?
He did not get swallowed by a vast impersonal system. He conquered it. Remember, the Backrooms did not even start with him. As we established, it started as a single anonymous image on a message board.
Right, in 2019.
Over years, it became crowdsourced lore. Thousands of different people on the internet contributed their own ideas, writing different levels of the Backrooms and inventing different monsters. It was chaotic, messy, and completely disorganized.
But that chaos is exactly what made it feel like a genuine, modern myth. It was like a digital campfire story where everyone added a piece. No one owned it.
But chaos alone does not make a lasting narrative. What Parsons did, first in his YouTube series and ultimately in the feature film, was absorbed years of that disorganized crowdsourced lore and forge it into one incredibly coherent, haunting world.
So you think coherence is better than mystery?
Coherence does not destroy mystery, it focuses it. He used Hollywood's money to build his exact vision on a massive scale without compromising his artistic integrity. It is one of the greatest success stories in modern media because it proves that a teenager with free software can dictate terms to major studios.
I will certainly acknowledge the scale of his success. The fact that a teenager turned a hobby into a Hollywood film is historic and deeply impressive.
The film is not a betrayal of the independent spirit, it is the ultimate victory of it. He forced the massive corporate machine to fund and execute his fiercely independent nightmare.
Well, but we are debating the feeling of the art itself, not just the business success. When a piece of media starts as internet folklore, its power comes precisely from its lack of definition.
I see your point.
As soon as you define the lore in a major movie, when you clearly explain the science behind the Async Institute, when you introduce professional actors with character arcs, and when you give the story a traditional beginning, middle, and end, you effectively solve the puzzle.
And you think solving it ruins it?
In horror, solving the puzzle is the absolute quickest way to kill the fear. The grainy, unexplained, fiercely independent YouTube shorts will always hold a raw, primal terror that a perfectly structured, heavily funded movie simply cannot replicate. The fear of the unknown is always greater than the fear of the known.
And my perspective remains that scaling up this folklore into a massive sci-fi masterpiece was the right move for the story.
We clearly see it very differently.
We do, but the movie succeeds exactly because it maintained the soul of self-produced video creation. By using his original digital tools to literally map out a massive physical production, the original creator proved that you can elevate a terrifying concept into a cinematic event without losing its essence.
He certainly brought it to a larger audience.
Exactly. He brought the creeping dread of the Backrooms to an audience of millions who would never have clicked on a blurry, confusing internet video. He proved that independent ideas deserve grand canvases.
It really comes down to a fundamental disagreement on what makes something truly frightening. Is it the raw, unpolished, mysterious unknown of the internet? Or is it the highly executed, immersive realization of a terrifying concept in a theater?
Precisely. So, to summarize for everyone listening, especially our younger listeners, think about how we experience fear and how we consume stories in this modern digital age. The evolution of the Backrooms forces us to ask a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Is horror more effective when it feels like a secret, forbidden file you stumbled across alone in the dark?
Or is it more powerful when you are physically overwhelmed by a grand cinematic experience trapped in a dark room with hundreds of other people staring at a massive screen?
Both sides offer incredibly strong mechanisms for terror, but they target completely different parts of our psychology.
I think we can both agree, though, that Kane Parsons turning his Blender hobby into a $100 million movie is historic.
Oh, absolutely. It is one of the greatest success stories in media history. But I invite anyone listening to test the psychological difference for themselves. Go watch the original, independently created videos on YouTube. Experience the quiet, lonely dread of those static-filled frames and the dead air.
And then consider the massive scale of the feature film. Decide for yourself which version of the nightmare actually gets under your skin more effectively.
Exactly. Look at how the transition from a solo bedroom project to a massive collaborative production changes the very texture of the fear.
So the next time you find yourself entirely alone in an empty building and the only sound is the low electrical hum of the fluorescent lights above you, well, pay close attention to your instincts.
Just check to make sure the stairs are still there.
Right. Ask yourself, are you just standing in a cleverly constructed physical reality, or have you just slipped out of bounds into something much worse? We will leave you to think about that. Thank you for joining us, and keep questioning what you see.